Well, lads, I'm Pat Mc Keown. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you may recognise me as the thick 6-year storming around the corridors of Pat's with the boys. I'm a Wolf Tones man, originally from Kilberry. I'm currently studying in UT Austin. I'm studying neuroscience and I'll go home next year to complete my degree in UCD. I am also the founder and administrator of Cashface. My mental health story. As you know, I'm sharing this video with you in part to share my mental health story. So I'll first tell you what health is as defined by the World Health Organization. So, health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Mental health specifically refers to your mood over an extended period of time. So if you're struggling with your mental health, you may feel predominantly sad, angry, or worried. So my mental health story starts as a very young lad. I lost my father to cancer at a very young age, which was very confusing growing up. But I was lucky that I had a fantastic family took after me along the way. But the main part of my mental health story starts around about when I was 12, just going into Pat's. So in Pat's, I was a very, very angry young lad. I maintained a very close group of friends, but would often lash out at the boys when they would, be messing or just having the crack at me, I often lashed out at people if they'd say anything I picked up in a negative light. Many teachers, unfortunately, bore the brunt of this anger, and to them, I'm sorry. But at this time, I was suffering with depression, and I didn't want anyone to know. I never wanted anybody to perceive me as weak or vulnerable. Now, lads, I want to make an extremely important point now. It is never a sign of weakness to feel vulnerable, to feel sad, to feel like crying. Never. It's a sign of strength to express this feeling. If you're sad, to tell somebody, or worried, or angry, you have to express it outwardly rather than keeping it all inside. Share it with somebody you trust, like a parent, a loving family member, your brother or your sister, your favourite teacher or your best friend. Open up to somebody. It's okay not to feel okay. What's not alright is to keep all that anguish to yourself. It's only going to eat away at you if you keep it to yourself for that long. Now, unfortunately, I only developed this mentality very recently. When I was growing up, I kept all this stuff to myself. I felt it was my pain. I didn't want to inflict that on anyone else. I felt, I had to just deal with it, which is absolute bullshit. Right? Would you ever dream of telling somebody with Alzheimer's, cop on and start remembering? Or someone with Parkinson's, oh here, what are you shaking for? Stop shaking. Of course you won't. It's ridiculous. Considering that, you should never tell yourself to just deal with it, or anybody else for that matter. People who open up about their struggles should be celebrated. You should open up about your struggles. The ironic thing is, around this time, if anybody had come up to me and opened up about their struggles, I would have felt privileged. For them to share something with me that was so private and so personal, it would be an absolute honour. But when it came to me, I felt it was my pain, and I couldn't share that with anybody. Which in hindsight just isn't fair, and it's not fair to you if you're struggling not to share it with somebody else. Imagine if everybody shared how they were feeling. Not just you and a couple of your mates. Literally everybody. And for this to happen, you need to be this change. We all need to be this change. We need to encourage others to express themselves. This can't happen. We need to be the change we wish to see in the world. Now, if you don't trust me, trust Mahatma Gandhi. I robbed that quote from him. Don't be the hard man. The hard man is really just a scared man, afraid of what might happen when he reveals himself. But what is Cashface? So, literally, Cashface is a facial expression which was invented to portray a strong element of confusion. In other words, it's. So, Cashface, initially a joke, used to photobomb people's photos, was developed into a symbol for positive mental health. Now, I don't mean positive mental health as in always feeling happy. This isn't realistic, and this isn't what life is about. Positive mental health means to express yourself no matter how you're feeling. So happy, sad, worried, angry. Now, typically, we are very, very good at expressing ourselves when we are happy, but atrocious at expressing ourselves when we are unhappy. The Cashface campaign broaches the topic of mental health in a light-hearted, humorous manner. It aims to spark a conversation. It aims to normalise the issue of mental health, because these are universal feelings. Everybody encounters some sort of difficulty in their lives, lads. Whether it's an injury that keeps you from sport, trouble at school, difficulty with classes, you're not getting on well with your mates, there's difficulties at home. These are problems we all encounter. What we all don't share is the ability to express how these things affect us. We can achieve this, but we just need to change our attitudes. Why nothing to hide? So British ex-politician Alistair Campbell came to UCD a couple of years ago, and he spoke about his struggles with mental health. Like me, he had been suicidal in his youth. This is what he said. If you're unwell, don't man up. Don't pull yourself together. Don't just get on with it. Be honest to yourself and open up to the people around you. There's never anything to hide or be ashamed of. There's never anything to hide or be ashamed of. From that, I came up with Nothing to Hide. So what Cashface has done so far? The biggest success Cashface has to date lies in the conversation it started. Last year, with the help of some friends and family, I launched a campaign asking people to change their profile pictures for the month of February. The profile picture would show the Nothing to Hide overlay, embodied by them doing the Cashface expression in the background with some mates or with in a cool place or with a celebrity. So this acted to start a conversation. People who weren't familiar with the campaign would ask each other, what was Nothing to Hide about? And this had people talking about mental health in a positive light, without all the taboo and the stigma attached. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve, to normalise the topic of mental health. This year, the conversation was started again, only this time more successfully, with the publication of Cashface stories. So Cashface stories are basically a personalised mental health testimonial to educate the reader on how normal these feelings are. Everybody encounters these difficulties, like I said, and I wanted to popularise that idea, to make people realise that this is true. So after reading these personalised mental health stories, often people were shocked because people that they would never expect to suffer with mental health issues were opening up about their woes of sadness and anger and worry. After the publication of Cashface stories, Cashface began to draw attention on a national level, from the Irish Independent, the Irish Daily Mirror, and big profile names got on board, like Neil Delamere and Conor Cusack. So Cashface will continue to popularise the Nothing to Hide philosophy and normalising mental health. We will do this through the profile picture change every February, and we will continue to post on the blog. We also plan on setting up workshops in different schools around the country, trying to educate people of all the ages on mental health. There will be lots of online resources as well, providing tutorials and information on how to approach these problems. We will be collaborating with the fantastic mental health institutions Ireland has to offer, popularising mental health and the Nothing to Hide philosophy. So in the future, we want to educate people of all ages about mental health and equip them with the tools so that they can face difficulty in a positive manner and exploit the situation so that they can learn the most from it. I said this in my Cashface story, but I want to say it again to reinforce the point. The majority of my life has been spent in either a clinical depressed state or that of debilitating anxiety. However, there's nothing about my life that I regret. Through all these experiences, I have become extremely resilient to difficulty, and it has empowered me to try and inspire others to do the same. Lads, your life is the biggest privilege you have. Honour the privilege and live it. Even now I still encounter difficulty, but I lead a much healthier and happier life, employing the philosophy of having nothing to hide.